I was scared to death. Discovery Day? Oh. I knew I wanted to join. I'd watched enough of the materials that HTM had sent me after I initially committed to go down Discovery Day, and I kind of had my mind made up, but scared to death. I mean, I had $2,500, $2,000 in my business checking account, and the investment they were asking me to make and commit to for 18 months was more than I had just for 1 month of it. But I believed in it. I thought, you know what? If I don't do this, how's my life going to be? I'm going to go back to Spokane, Washington. I'm going to continue to work 30 plus hours a week in the business, and maybe if I'm lucky, I might get to $250,000 this year. I remember talking to one of my friends, colleagues in Spokane. He works for a criminal defense company, and at the time, I wanted to partner. This is about 2 years before HTM came into my life. And I was telling him about how proud I was because I was going to make $200,000 in solo that year. That was all the money in the world in my mind. I would burn my house down with $200,000 right now because that's not my goal anymore. And I was working 30 plus hours a week thinking this is, I'm fighting the good fight. I'm going to go in and I'm going to be this guy that, I'm doing it for the people, right? And it's like, no, that's the mindset of an associate attorney maybe, not of $1 million law firm business. And now that I've grown and I've cut down my work hours and I've, 4x my revenue since I joined, it's, to me, to think to go back to that life, I couldn't do it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Because now I've seen it, right? It's like, you don't know what you don't know, right? But then you get a taste of the good life a little bit, and then you tell me, even back when I was back in Montana, working as a partner, making $200,000 a year, which was all the money in the world back then. If they were to offer me my job back tomorrow, I wouldn't take it because I was working 35 hours a week and had to bill 35, which means I was there 50 hours a week. And I make way more money now when I work 5 hours a week. It just, people that don't, I just don't understand it. You make an investment, and at the time for me it was $1,000 investment, to go someplace nice and warm and put up in a 5-star hotel for 3 days just to check it out. And if you don't like it, you know what they do? They give you your investment back and money for incidentals. It's zero risk. It's 3 days of your time at a 5-star resort. But if you give them the opportunity, you're more likely than not, if you're going to get rid of your own bullshit, you're going to join and you're going to have an opportunity to work with world-class coaches. You're going to have an opportunity to be with 400 to 500 different law firms once a quarter and bounce ideas off. And one of the things, honestly, that I've been probably not most surprised about, but most gratitude for, is when you can talk to a person that's got a $100,000 law firm. You can talk to a person that's got a $10 million law firm. Those two people, when you talk to them, they will answer your questions. They will give you advice. They don't sit there and say, well, screw you, Sean. You've got a $250,000 law firm. I'm going to go talk to the $1 million people. No. My very first LQM, I talked to a guy whose gross revenues were $6 million. And I was like, holy shit, what are you doing? He's a solo. Arjan, maybe it wasn't Arjan, it was Erica during Discovery Day, was basically saying, we can turn a law firm into $1 million law firm, within 2 to 3 years, if not sooner. And I thought to myself, I was like, that's bullshit. I'm making $226 right now. There's no way. And so I sat there and I was like, my goal, my dream was like, God, if I could go back home and tell all the people that told me, don't move to Spokane because you've got a good life here in Butte, Montana. And it's a mistake because you're not from there, you may not have the same opportunities, and you're gonna struggle. So my goal was, I wanted to get that $1 million barrier and go back and tell them about it. And so I did it. And the first thing I did was I wrote a letter to my old receptionist back in Montana and just told her, I was excited. It was a thank you card on my letterhead with my logo that said, hey, Lori, just so you know, I made it. And she called me up the day she got it, and she was so excited. And she was one of the people, and not that people were telling me that I was going to fail. They didn't say that. They just said, you got a really good thing going here in Montana. And now I look back on it, I would never go back.